to move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
How's it going, everybody? It's the Post-Fight Podcast. I'm Nick Atkin, your host. The South China Morning Post, scmp.com/MMA in Hong Kong. We are awaiting a typhoon to hit. So I'm doing this one just before it gets a bit windy and loud. I've got Jon Jones with me, as usual, over in Korea. John, what's going on, man?
We just got done with our own little monsoon season, and there was floods for the last couple of weeks. So I guess as everything's moving towards your way, we're lucky it's over right now.
We're just going to talk about Jon Jones, I think, because Jon Jones vacated his light heavyweight title in the UFC. Then he retired quickly, but then came back and said he's going to fight at heavyweight. John, what do you make of all of it? Because Jon Jones has been talking about this for a few months, hasn't he? But he's actually done it now and vacated that belt.
Yeah, it's not really a surprise since he spoke with the UFC and they realized that they need Jon Jones back, and especially if he's going to be fighting in the heavyweight division, why not, bring him back just for that purpose and vacate the title, let the light heavyweight division play out a little bit more and have a new champion, and bring Jon Jones in and have him fight Stipe. I think that's the fight that Stipe wants, and I feel like Stipe deserves a money fight, and this will be the money fight. Jon Jones is a big star. He's probably one of the greatest of all time, or maybe the greatest of all time. That's what a lot of people say. Why not bring Jon Jones back, pay him the money that he deserves, and fight Stipe?
So does Jon Jones get to skip the queue? Because Francis Ngannou has been knocking everyone out in about 20 seconds or 1 minute for the last couple of years since he got beaten by Stipe. Is the feeling that maybe Stipe would do the same to Francis, and the UFC doesn't want to see 5 rounds of Stipe hugging Francis again? I mean, I kind of more inclined to watch Jones v Stipe myself. I think they realize there's more money there, right?
There's definitely a lot more money with Jones fighting Stipe. Stipe, I'm pretty sure he wants a new challenge. Like I said earlier, a money fight. Ngannou, he's still growing as a star and still growing as a fighter in this division, and he is the rightful owner of the next title shot. But with Jon Jones coming in and saying that he's vacating the title, he's telling us that he's moving up to heavyweight. I don't think he's going to just do that to fight a random title contender. I think he's going up there to fight Stipe right away, look for that belt, accomplish that champ status. And in small parts, I feel like Jon Jones, he wants to level out the playing field because Daniel Cormier did it, and now he wants to do it and kind of like put a little bit of an edge over Daniel Cormier. I still feel like there's still that rivalry there, and I don't know. I don't feel Daniel Cormier is retired. He says he's retired, but if Jon Jones goes up and wins that title, I could see the third fight that happened at heavyweight and DC coming back, just like what Dana White was saying. I don't see him retiring, and I believe Dana White, and I agree with him. I don't think we've seen the last of DC.
Yeah, this is it, right? Jones is going to have to go away and put on a bit of muscle. But Stipe Miocic has just been handed a medical suspension, so the timing is right. I think Stipe is going to be out till early next year, it sounds like. Jones is going to have to build up that muscle. But yeah, Francis is ready to go because as I said, he spent about 2 minutes in the cage the last 2 years. What would you do with Francis then, John?
That is a good question. It's hard to imagine who you would put Francis against. The only fight that I see outside of Stipe Miocic would be either Derek Lewis, who actually beat Ngannou before in that lackluster fight, or a fight with that's it. I feel like that's the only fight that there is out there is Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is coming off a couple wins, and why not make that fight, make the rematch, or let's put this out there, bring Brock Lesnar back and have him fight Stipe. Why not? You know what I mean? Why not?
I think Francis is going to be pissed off if he doesn't get a title shot. He's the last guy you want to piss off as well. Uh, but this does mean there is a vacant title, and it looks like it's going to be Jan Blachowicz against Dominic Reyes, who arguably maybe won that fight against Jones in February, UFC 247. That's going to be, I presume, the co-main event now on 253 underneath Adesanya and Costa, which is probably going to be on Fight Island. That card's looking pretty stacked, isn't it, John? But who's your money on for Blachowicz Reyes?
Is that really for the vacant title? Did they announce that?
Well, I'm going to bring myself back on screen there. It's not been announced. Brett Okamoto, ESPN, said it's in the works for 253, and you've got to imagine it's for the vacant title, right?
Yeah, if Jones has vacated it, and seriously, it has happened, because UFC hasn't announced anything officially, so we don't know. Like you said, those tweets are it seems like two different people are holding his account and just going back and forth playing games or something. So we don't know exactly what's happening with that title. But if that's true, and the UFC's decided to vacate that title, then yes, of course, it should be Reyes versus Jan for the vacated title, and whoever wins that, I feel like should fight the winner of Glover versus Santos, who actually they fight I believe 2 weeks before that, September 12th. So that should be the number one contender fight, and then the title fight should be Jan versus Reyes. I feel like those are the top 4 fighters in that division. And yeah, man, it's gonna move along, and those guys are gonna be able to fight each other for the next year or two. And Jon Jones is going to be at heavyweight. I like this. I like the switch of landscape in that division.
What do you think of putting Jones against someone like, let's say, Alistair Overeem, just to welcome himself to the division? That's a money fight. Come on, you'd pay to watch that.
I don't think Jones will risk a fight against Alistair Overeem. I don't think he's going to risk fighting someone that's not gonna give him a major payday. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure he's gonna get paid to fight Alistair, but I don't see like a major payday like he would get with Stipe or even a Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like every time we talk about the heavyweight division and big fights and money fights, we always have to bring up Brock Lesnar, even though he hasn't fought in years, but he's still out there, and anybody would want to fight him because of course you're gonna get paid a lot of money to fight Brock Lesnar. But Jones, I don't see him fighting anybody else really. It would be a fight that stylistically he would have a major advantage over. I feel like if he's fighting someone outside of Stipe, I think he's just gonna wait. He's gonna put on the weight, he's gonna put on the muscle, train with the muscle that he's built, and then get his body used to it and fight Stipe. Stipe is gonna be out for a little bit. We don't know what exactly is happening with Stipe's eye. I mean, he's had a lot of problems over the last year or so, and he's had surgery too. So I don't know exactly if Stipe will come back. We have no idea. So with Jones, we might even see Jones fighting Ngannou if Stipe doesn't come back. That could be a vacated title also. But hey, that's a big fight too. I'm pretty sure they'll fight each other, no problem.
I feel like Stipe will come back because he's just finished that trilogy finally after 2 years, more than 2 years, going back and forth with Daniel Cormier. He looked like a man reborn to me on the weekend. But anyway, are you a bit annoyed? We've had all this build-up for Israel Adesanya against Jon Jones at light heavyweight. Now Jones is maybe never going to fight light heavyweight again. 2 years of that wasted as well.
Yeah, I think Jones was just trying to take some of the media attention from Adesanya, and he was just playing games with Adesanya. Adesanya has said in the past that he would go up to heavyweight and fight Stipe. So if you're gonna fight Stipe, why wouldn't you fight Jon Jones at heavyweight? That if you're so confident against the baddest man on the planet, you're gonna go and be confident against Jon Jones at heavyweight. Why would you even why would you even like double think that? That's a big fight. I feel like the Jon Jones fight is way bigger than the fight against Stipe for Adesanya, but it's so much is up in the air right now with those fighters. You know what I mean? Like Jones, Stipe, DC, like there's these injuries that they might not be able to come back from, and Jones is just playing. I think he's like playing with us. I think he's playing with like the media. He's playing with the fans. He's playing with the UFC. I just get that feeling now because it's been months and months of him doing that.
Well, Adesanya is official, and Costa for UFC 253. I think it's Fight Island. Dana White bringing up potential fight of the year. He says, "You agree with that?" I'm not sure I do.
No, I don't think it's gonna be a fight of the year. I feel like someone's gonna get knocked out, and it's gonna be it's not gonna be a brawl like you would expect. I don't think it's gonna play out like Costa versus Romero. I don't think that's not even gonna be a close to what's gonna happen. After that Kelvin Gastelum fight, I feel like Israel Adesanya, he rethought like his approach to fighting, everybody in the future, especially when you have the belt. You know what I mean? When you have the belt, your job is to keep the belt. It's not your job to have the flashiest wins. It's like the GSP thing. GSP, he had the belt. His job was to keep the belt and keep the title defenses rolling. And I think Adesanya, in my mind, I feel like that's the approach that he has moving forward. And he's fighting some dangerous guys. You know what I mean? Yoel Romero, he barely beat him, and now he's gonna fight Costa, who is just an absolute animal. And but Dana White was right about Costa. He's gonna move forward and he's gonna throw big, and either he's gonna connect or Israel's gonna counter and connect, but someone's gonna get knocked out. And it's gonna be fun to watch. I can see it going either way. And both guys are undefeated. This is a huge fight.
We're going to talk about this as well. Sean O'Malley, he could be out a long time, it looks like. He did go to the hospital, rolled his ankle. Who knows what happened? Was it the leg or the ankle against Marlon Vera? Suffered his first loss at the weekend, UFC 252. Vera was a big underdog for some reason, even though he's a bad man. O'Malley, yeah, he looks like he could be out for a while. Look at this. Medical suspensions released. Sounds like he's out until February, unless the doctor clears that right ankle. Big blow for Sean O'Malley, right, John? He was really an up-and-coming star, but I think you've always been a little bit more wary than I have. You told me not to get on the hype train. I guess I was drinking the Kool-Aid a little too much.
Well, I've always been a person that did not jump on any hype trains too early, ever really. And Sean O'Malley's the same thing, even like with the Johnny Walker too. You know what I mean? A lot of people were like on that hype train, loving Johnny Walker because of those quick finishes, but then we never really see him face adversity. And when we did against Corey Anderson, look what happened. And same thing with O'Malley here, man. It's just how they bounce back, I feel like, will determine like where they go in their career. And Johnny Walker he didn't bounce back yet, and his next fight is going to be big for him. For O'Malley, it seems like his durability is in question now. Like we've seen him have fights where he's hurt his leg before. You know what I mean? In the Andre Sukumtop fight, he hurt his leg in the third round, and he's kind of lucky that he did because he won the fight all the way up to that point. And an in-fight error by Andre that kind of like took that fight to the judges, and Sean won that fight. But this one, it happened early, and it's just like, I don't know if he's durable enough to last against the top guys in the division. Like let's look at like a Peter Yan. Peter Yan, very durable, a guy that has a massive gas tank. Can Sean O'Malley face a guy like that and hang with a guy like that? I feel like Sean O'Malley is very talented. His physical attributes make him a very big threat. His skill set makes him a very big threat, but he's just not durable. And we haven't seen anything against that either. Like we haven't seen him like take big shots and walk through them. We've seen other guys get dropped, get back up, and finish fights. We haven't seen that from Sean O'Malley, and that's why I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. People were telling me like, man, O'Malley, he's gonna be a top 5 fighter, man, in the next year. And I was just like, come on, man, you gotta wait until this Chito Vera fight is over with before you decide that, because I don't see him going in there against like an Aljamain Sterling and taking out Aljamain Sterling easily like he's been doing with these other guys. He's been fighting guys that are mid-tier UFC guys or guys that are just entering the UFC. Once you get into the Chito Vera, level. It's a different game. Chito Vera is a savage, and he showed that savageness by attacking that calf, and O'Malley just wasn't durable enough, and he got knocked out. Yeah, did you think he got knocked out? I thought he got knocked out, and Chito woke him back up before Herb finished the fight or stopped the fight.
It was hard to tell for me. I like Chito, what he said. Oh, yeah, I could hear him snoring. He said, I heard O'Malley's coach talking shit on the way to the cage. What was he saying? Something like, oh, this guy's too slow for you.
Yeah.
I like Chito. I think he's a good character. He reminds me a bit of Masvidal, just in and out. He's been that underdog. People haven't taken him seriously, maybe giving him the credit. I'd love to see him go on another run. I mean, he's on 6 fights undefeated at bantamweight, because that Song Yadong loss was actually at featherweight, right? So, and he thinks he won that fight. So he says he's on a 7-fight win streak. What do you do next with Chito? Yeah, he deserves someone top 10 now, I guess, right?
Oh, definitely. He deserves a big fight. I could see him fighting. I was thinking, like, if Cody Garbrandt wasn't set up for that title fight at 125, Chito Vera would have been a good fight to set up with Garbrandt, but Garbrandt's going to 125, which is a whole nother story. Chito, it's difficult. You know what I mean? Like, can you bring up the rankings to see like who's available? Because next week we got Pedro Munoz versus Frankie Edgar, right? So that does. I don't feel like that fight really does anything. Yeah, I don't feel like next week's fight with Pedro Munoz versus Frankie Edgar does anything for either of those fighters. Even if they win, they just continue and maybe they'll fight another top 10 guy, but I don't see them moving up in the rankings or anything like that. This is Frankie Edgar's first fight at bantamweight, and I guess it's worth more to Frankie Edgar because it's his first fight in that division, and if he beats a top 10 guy, that means he becomes automatically ranked in the top 10. So I guess Munoz has more to lose. But when you look at that top 15, who can he fight? You know what I mean? I feel like you put him against a Sunsao or Rivera. I think those are the fights right there. A Sunsao, Rivera, 7 and 8. I think he deserves that, at least that, by taking on O'Malley and just sparking him in that event.
What about Dominic Cruz if he's around still?
Yeah, that's not a bad fight, but I don't think Dominic Cruz would fight Chito. I think Dominic Cruz is very selective of who he wants to fight. And you know what's insane is how was Sean O'Malley ranked, but Chito wasn't ranked? That was insane to me, right? I felt like Chito was ranked before the last event. I think
I had no clue
like
how.
15.
Yeah, I thought he was ranked, and then I was trying to find his number. It's like, what the hell? He's not even in here.
Yeah.
Maybe. What about redoing the Song fight, or is that we could do it the real weight this time?
I think that they'll meet eventually again in the future, but I don't think you need to do that rematch immediately. I feel like
Jose Aldo,
somebody better. Oh, Jose Aldo would be a good fight. Yeah, that's not a bad fight right there, Jose Aldo. But I think like Jose Aldo's too high up. I think you should give him somebody that he could build off of, which is like a Jimmy Rivera or a Rafael Assunção, or even a Cody Stamen. One of those 4 right there. None of those guys have fights coming up. Cody's coming off a loss. Rafael's coming off a loss. Jimmy actually won his last fight. Rob Font's coming off surgery, so he should be back in the next couple months, and he's coming off a win. So when you look at that, I see like he'd be better off fighting somebody like Assunção or Stamen. Those are 2 good matchups right there for Chito. But from what I heard is Chito's going to be in Korea to help the Korean Zombie prepare for Brian Ortega. This is just a rumor that I heard. So if that happens, hopefully, we could catch up with him for South China Morning Post and get some exclusives, right, with Chito. We're big fans.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to get the bleep machine out. He's got a foul mouth. Yeah. No, I think Chito's great. I think he's a great interviewer, and I think he's done what Masvidal did. Is he's taken that opportunity with like Masvidal did with the Askren knockout. He's probably gained a bunch of new followers, being featured in a co-main event when you're the underdog. you're expected to lose. O'Malley was the hype package on O'Malley. Did you see the video before he came out? Said, yeah, this is a once in a generation talent. Chito is getting some huge shine, so good for him. Hopefully he's if you're his agent, what are you doing right now? His manager, you'd be putting Chito everywhere, I think, on every show on YouTube, every MMA website. I hope, right?
Yeah, I would also fly him back to his home country and get him on some TV shows out there and build a bigger following in his home country of Ecuador. I don't see why you would not do that especially with this big win, and it was a pay-per-view and a co-main event. You got to ride the wave, right? And if it's possible, do it. Yeah, and give him a fight. Get him a fight. I feel like he should have a fight in the next 3 months. Ride the wave, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like he was injured or anything happened to him during the fight, so there was no medical suspensions for Chito. So why not get him in there quick?
Anthony Rumble Johnson, he's back in the testing pool. That's it, right? Ali Abdelaziz told Brett Okamoto this, and he says he wants to fight at like heavyweight again. Welcome. I'd love to have him back. I think there's plenty of interesting fights, especially if Jones vacates that belt. There's so many contenders I'd put him up against there. Just the potential for pure violence. Think about it. Who you got? Yuri Prochazka, those guys, Reyes, Santos. Oh, yeah. I'd love to have Rumble back.
Yeah, Rumble's going to be a great addition. He hasn't fought since 2017. The last fight was for the title against Daniel Cormier, where he was submitted. And after that, he basically went into semi-retirement. Now he's coming back. He had a stint as a bodybuilder for a while. He got really, really big. And then I guess he's been training for the last year or so to like taper down the weight and get back to MMA form. And it seems like he's ready now in the next couple months. Yeah, there's so many good fights, but I would like for him to come back against somebody that's known, but not like a top 10 guy. And I feel like a perfect fight for him would be against like someone like Gokhan Saki, a striker, someone that will stand and bang with him. And I think that would be an exciting fight, something that they could promote. And I'm pretty sure Gokhan Saki would fight Rumble Johnson. You know what I mean? Like if you could knock out Rumble Johnson, that's huge for Gokhan Saki. But yeah, there's so many fights. There's Yuri Prochazka.
What happened to Gokhan Saki, man? Because he came in with so much hype and he got knocked the hell out, didn't he? By was it
Khalil
Roundtree, right? Yeah. But then Khalil lost. What would you do? Do you think this is the right fight? If you setting him up for another big knockout, John, you're doing him dirty.
Yeah, but the thing is, like he's older and he doesn't have many fights left, so he needs to take the biggest fights possible, something that could move him up. And I think like Rumble Johnson would be good. And Gokhan, he's been gone for a while because of an injury. I think he had surgery. So why not face somebody like that on his return? Try to pump him up the rankings, or like at least give him a good decent fight. You know what I mean, with a big name. But I don't like I would like to see that, but I don't think the UFC would do that. I feel like the UFC is gonna give him someone like a Santos or Rakic or a Smith, Anthony Smith. Those are like those are the fights the UFC want to hook him up with. Someone coming off a loss, and they're gonna give him.
We got Rakic against Smith, right? August 30, the one after Edgar.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the winner of that, or is he throwing him in too high? I think you're right. Gokhan Saki would be cool. I wouldn't want to put him against Santos right away. Santos is going to need a fight soon, right?
Yeah, Santos fighting Glover. First, so in 2 weeks, I believe it's going to be Smith versus Rakic. Then after that, it's going to be Glover versus Santos. And then after that, it'd be Hyon versus Reyes. So like in a month span, it's going to be some serious light heavyweight matchups coming up. And it's going to determine what's going to happen, at the end of the year, especially with like the next title challenger. And whoever's holding the title, if it's Hyon or Reyes, they're going to be fighting one of those four guys, Rakic or Smith, or if they haven't fought already. So I'm rooting for Glover. You know, like he's the older guy. He's like 41. You know, he's still winning and he's at the top of the division. I would like to see him beat Santos and fight for the title one more time and ride off into the sunset. But most likely that's not going to happen. But you know, sometimes we could wish for some things.
Well, what a way to bring it back to what we started talking about, Jon Jones. Yeah, I kind of feel like Jon Jones moving up or leaving, vacating the belt. It's sad to see because he is a legend in that division. He holds the records for pretty much everything, but it does kind of open everything up, and it's so exciting now. You've got so many fights, which I just don't know how they would go, whereas people were fighting Jones, and I wasn't expecting them to do much. You know, arguably Santos, Reyes, you could have given them the wins, but he was just taking challenges and knocking them back. Now, this division is wide open, isn't it?
Yeah, it just makes it much more fun to be excited about. It's easier to be excited about it now because now you got guys that could actually be a champion but have threats. Before it was like Jon Jones was just Jon Jones. He was the greatest of all time at light heavyweight, and pretty much no one had a chance against him. And even the judges probably thought that in the last couple of fights where the fights went in his favor. It's almost like they believed it too, even though it was razor thin, that Jon Jones is just so good that he can't be beat. And I look at it like this. I look at it like how GSP went out. You know, GSP, when he went out the first time from the welterweight division, or not the first time, when he retired from the welterweight division, he was very close to losing these fights. You know, Johnny Hendricks, and before that, I forgot who he fought. But the Johnny Hendricks fight was so close. It was so controversial. And a lot of people thought Johnny Hendricks won that fight. And so did I, you know, I mean, like, if I watch it again, if I watch it 10 more times, I'll probably still think that Johnny Hendricks won that fight, but he didn't. And George St. Pierre got away with that one. And after that, he retired from the division. And I feel like Jon Jones is doing it just like GSP perfectly. Like, get out of there a while. You know, you're coming off wins and your legacy is still intact with the division. You leave as the champion. And if you ever want to go back, you can still always go back. But now you got new challenges. Go up a weight class. Jon Jones is doing it a little bit different than GSP, but I feel like Jon Jones, if he goes up to heavyweight and he fights Stipe, beats Stipe, defends against Ngannou, and beats Ngannou, and then DC comes back and challenges Jon Jones again for the third fight and beats DC, I feel like, you know, who is better? If he goes on that run, who is better? Nobody. You cannot compare him to anybody. There's always that asterisk, you know what I mean? But just winning fights, it's hard to deny him if he does that. So, but
and then Adesanya can come up, right?
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah. And then Adesanya, there's so many fights there, you know, for him. And in my eyes, I still believe GSP is the greatest fighter of all time. Him and, you know, Mighty Mouse is, you know, neck and neck. The only thing that GSP has over Mighty Mouse is that GSP went up a weight class and won the title. He finished Bisping and won the title. But other than that, you know, Jon Jones, if he goes up to heavyweight and does what he needs to do, it's clear that Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. I don't see like anybody, you know, beating that for a while. But you know, but there's still people out there that think Connor's the greatest of all time.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.